Look, I'm just gonna hit you with the nitty-gritty right off the bat. Is Space Junkies a good game? Absolutely. Will Space Junkies catch on and be the go-to VR shooter? In my opinion, not a chance. If you want more details than that, let me lay down my initial impressions during the recent open beta.
Shut up and sit down.
Now, keep in mind, this beta is taking place about 4 days before the game releases, so it's not much, what do we need to change, as it is, are there any game-breaking bugs? This is essentially the final product. So if you have issues with anything in the game, don't expect any changes until they begin updates much later on. Let's start with the basics. Space Junkies is a first-person shooter by developer Ubisoft. You've probably heard of them before, so they have some clout when it comes to making games. Ubisoft has dipped into VR before with Star Trek Bridge Crew, which was a fantastic game in its own right. So expectations for Space Junkies are understandably high. The basis of the game is a shooter with a full 360 degrees of movement. You're in space, hence the title, and you're able to move on any of the X, Y, or Z axes. You move forward with the left touchpad or joystick, and turning is handled either by where you're looking, or snap turning by pressing down in a direction. You can move up and down with the right touchpad or joystick, or simply by looking in the direction you want to go. Now, I have my VR legs, but I didn't get even a remote feeling of nausea from the movement system. They have different settings to help, such as blinders when you move, but I turned everything off and it felt silky smooth. Now, this full range of movement is imperative if you want any advantage in a match. I found multiple times that simply being above or below a person would cause confusion, because we're simply not accustomed to looking in those directions in an FPS. So once you get the hang of the movement system, you get that much better at the game, which is cool. Currently in Space Junkies there are 2 gameplay modes, Team Deathmatch with 2 teams of 2, and Free-for-All, which only kicked in when there weren't enough people in the lobby, which during the beta was often. Matches can start very quickly, but you're welcome to hang out in the lobby where you can practice with any of the guns as well as open your loot boxes. These now standard staples of video games will include customizations for your character as well as your player card. The entire setup of the match felt straight out of Ender's Game. You get ready in a tunnel and fly out of a tube, entering the combat area. The graphical style during the sequence looks really nifty and really helps that sci-fi feeling. The maps are great too, having you leap over meteors, boost your way through tight tunnels, and wiggle into strange plants. But now for the meat of the game. In typical FPS style, you have a health bar and begin with a few weapons. The standard pistol, which is quite effective but has a low ammo capacity, a sword for melee and a short wave blast, and a shield. In the arena, you will find a variety of other weapons as well as armor, which can really help you turn the tide of battle. All of the weapons felt effective, with those that hit harder expecting more dexterity on your part. 4 of these weapons require 2 hands to use. These weapons are strong, but they do feel slightly clumsy, simply because without an actual weapon there, your hands tend to drift away from each other. Space Junkie seems to cover all of the gun basics. There's the full auto SMG, the sniper, the LMG, the grenade launcher, a shotgun, and the basic pistol. You can dual wield any of these weapons, but remember that some do require 2 hands to use them effectively. The guns feel good to use, with the proper amount of power and kickback, some even propelling you backwards. They are accurate, and even the clumsiest gamer will be able to land some shots. In combat, I felt that the amount of damage required to kill or be killed was appropriate. You have enough health to survive an initial attack and perform some evasive maneuvers to get away. If you find a wounded enemy though, it's pretty easy and quick to finish them off. Hence, dropping into a battle between 2 other players and bombarding them was highly effective. Now, all of this sounds great, right? And it is. The game is really polished. There's definitely a learning curve, and when I first started, I was absolutely shit upon. But when you get the hang of movement and how to use each gun, it felt like a fair fight. So why don't I think this game will catch on? 2 reasons. Number 1, entry price. Space Junkies will cost you $40. That is a tough barrier, especially when amazing FPS games like Onward and Contractors are around $20, and Pavlov is right at $10. Without a quick surge of players into the game, people will slowly fade away toward other games with more of a player base. If any new players then come, they will find a barren wasteland with only the pro players left to destroy them. And number 2, variety. Deathmatch. That's all you get in Space Junkies so far. With small teams and quick matches, this will get stale really quickly. The 0G style of gameplay works really well with different styles. Look at Echo Arena and their payload maps for reference. Capture the flag, search and destroy, kill confirmed. Space Junkies needs more variety and it needs it stat. I hope that I'm wrong and Space Junkies explodes onto the scene. It's a great game that's highly polished and I had a lot of fun playing it. I'll be staying away at launch, but I will be watching closely. If it manages to pick up steam, I'll join the other Junkies and cause a little mayhem myself. Those are my impressions. If you got even a semblance of information out of it, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe. Till then, have a good one, Wolfpack.